Hi everyone, I'm Cailee Hanson with SVA Consulting, and in this video we'll be walking through some of the CRM components within Acumatica, and we'll specifically pay attention to how we would create a CRM opportunity within Acumatica, and then we'll also walk through the process of converting that opportunity into a sales quote, as well as into a sales order. So that's kind of the realm of today's video. If you're interested in seeing more of the order entry side and invoicing side, we have some videos on that as well. So I do invite you to explore those. But for today's video, like I said, we'll pay most of the attention in that opportunity creation. So a couple of things to note before I hop in. Within Acumatica, the two kind of main components for the CRM side of Acumatica will be these two modules that I have at the bottom here. So the marketing module, as well as that opportunities module, will really be kind of the core CRM components within Acumatica. So I'll start in my opportunities module, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new opportunity. We'll walk through that process, but before I do so, I just want to highlight a couple of things related to the business accounts to set some of the background here. So within Acumatica, if I go to this business accounts list, this is the list of all of my accounts within the system. So this makes up my customer list, as well as my prospects, and then there's vendors on this list as well. But some differences here would be, I have a current customer, so I can see that type is customer and the status is active, whereas a prospect would have the type business account, and then the status is prospect versus an active customer. So those are kind of the differences there. And then we could create opportunities both for prospects, so those business accounts, as well as for known customers. So I may have current customers that I have new opportunities for, so I could create those opportunities against the current customers or prospective customers as well. So we'll take a look at that, but just a little bit of background and orientation before we hop in. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and create a new opportunity. So I'll go into my opportunities workspace, and then I can create a new opportunity in a couple of different ways. If you've watched these videos, you'll see it's kind of consistent with the rest of the platform as well. But I have this quick menu button at the top to create a new opportunity that will launch me into the opportunity entry screen. I can hover over this opportunities list and create a new one. I can also drill down into my list of opportunities. This will show me all of my opportunities. And then again, I can add that new record from that plus button at the top. So I'll go ahead and just click new opportunity and launch into this opportunities list. So here I have the opportunity, and I can go ahead and create an opportunity now. And you'll notice I have the option to link this to various business accounts. So that list we saw earlier, again, prospects and customers. So I can see the differences there. If I wanted to create an opportunity against a current customer or against a prospect, both are available. So in this case, I'll create it for a current customer. So assuming, this is currently our customer, they may have an additional opportunity for whatever the case may be. So we'll go ahead and select that. And then I can go ahead and fill out some of this information. So you'll see I have a description here, and this might just be, Bright Wave Enterprises, new spring sale opportunity, for example. So I can go ahead and save that. And then a couple of other areas I'll point out that you want to pay attention to on the header. The first being, once I fill out this business account, it's going to auto-populate in that location and that contact on it. Again, if I wanted to override that, we've seen this in other areas of the system, I could do so on the opportunity as well. And then I also have my estimated close date. So likely this wouldn't close the same day I'm creating the opportunity. So maybe I'll push that out a couple of weeks. I'm assuming this opportunity will close on the 28th. We'll also have these options. So this is something we would specify in initial setup, but this has a default opportunity class. But if you have multiple different classes on how you kind of want to group some of your opportunities, you can choose to override that as well. So I'll leave it as is. And then as we would expect, this opportunity is really feeding our sales pipeline. So we have different stages set up within Acumatica, and each stage feeds a certain probability. So as you kind of work your way down these stages, similar to the funnel within your sales funnel, you can work your way through these stages on the opportunity, and each one is associated to a probability, right? So for example, a prospect is kind of at that top of the funnel. So maybe they're at only a 5% probability of closing, whereas the solution phase may be closer to, a 60 or an 80% probability. So those kind of feed the probabilities, and these stages are also something that would be configured in your system specific to you. So in this case, let's say, already had a qualification meeting with them. So I'm going to say they're in the qualified stage. And I'm going to open up this opportunity as well. And there we'll see the stage is qualified and my opportunity is open. Now I'm ready to work on it. So likely that first tab we see at the top is this activities tab. So really this is where you would begin to add in any activities. So these are the activities you may have with this specific opportunity, and you want to track those maybe for your internal use, and then anyone within your organization can see some of those activities there. So I'll go ahead and create an activity, and maybe this is just, let's create a note to give a quick update. So this might be add a qualification call with Sam from branding. So we can add in a summary. The activities will be kind of the entry side. So I can go ahead, fill in the activity. I selected the note, but I could change that activity type as well if I wanted to change it here. I can go ahead and select from my list of activities, and then I can say when this activity occurred. So in this case, it happened today. Who's the owner? It's defaulting into me. If you were creating it for someone else, you could go ahead and select them as the owner as well. And then it's automatically linking it to this opportunity. So I'm going to go ahead and add some notes. Whatever the case may be, and then I can go ahead and save it. So really adding a summary, we can specify the type, the start date, who owns that activity, and then we could go ahead and add that in. So I'm going to save it, and once I do, I can X out of this, and it's just going to start logging those activities on the opportunity itself, and then these will also roll up into that business account. Perfect. So I can keep adding those, but really when I want to start adding in some details for my opportunity, I'll start to add those on the details tab. A couple of things beforehand, maybe I had initial calls. I don't know exactly what they're going to purchase in this example, but I do know that, they have a budget of about $5,000. So I'm going to put in, a manual amount just to kind of hold and feed that opportunity, because we think it might be a $5,000 opportunity. So we always have the option to select manual amount, and then that will kind of put a placeholder as to how big you think this opportunity will be. So that's kind of one option. And then this details tab is where I would go to add specific items, for example, that they want to purchase. So I can add a row, and then this will look similar to, the order entry screen for the sales order side, if you've seen that already, but this is where I could go ahead and add some different items here. So maybe they want, different tools for some tools. I know they want some hammers in this example, so I can put, that amount in and save that. And then here I have my prices defaulting in from this item. But if I didn't, I could override those as well. If I was going to offer a discount, I could go ahead and put that in that discount field as well. So here, I'm just going to add 40 of these hammers in, and then maybe we want, another 20 of these chainsaw tools, for example. So there I'm feeding my opportunity. Looks like it's a little bit over that amount that I initially thought. So maybe we have additional conversations and, we realize they only need really 5 of those. So I can go ahead and save that. I'm going to deselect that manual amount. It's going to feed what that detailed total amount is. But again, as I'm discovering, what items they might want to purchase, I'll add those all within this details tab, and that will feed that opportunity amount at the top. So I can kind of work between these activities, adding those in. As I discover more, I can add those detailed items, and then I can begin to continue to push this through the pipeline, right? So maybe now we're at the proposal stage, and now I'm ready to create the quote. So I've added in my details, and I can go ahead and create the quote by clicking the Create Quote button. And once I do, it's just going to give me some options here. I'm going to leave it as is and go Create and Review. So what this is going to do is it's going to take the details that I specified on the opportunity itself, and it's going to create the sales quote from it. So here I have my quote. I can save that. We'll see that those totals are the same. Those quantities are the same from what I fed within the details of my opportunity, but I could override it as well. So if I wanted to override it at the quote level, I could. I'll keep it as is, and then likely you would send this quote out to your customer. So I'm going to click these 3 dots at the top, and we're going to go ahead and, in this case, send this quote out. So I'll click Send. Should have sent that quote out. And if I go to my Activities tab down here, I'll see that it was sent. So here I have the email. This is just the email template within the system. This could be, tailored towards you, but then I'll see it's automatically associating and attaching that quote document at the top. So here's my quote document kind of out of the box, and then that was sent out to my customer. So I have that quote. I can go back into my opportunities list as well, drill down into that opportunity I've been working with. And here is where I can see the details, but then I also see that quote. So I could create additional quotes. Maybe I add more details, I have more conversations with them, create a secondary quote, et cetera, et cetera. So I can kind of walk through that process multiple times, but let's assume that this quote has been approved, it was sent, they agreed to it, and all looks good. Now we're ready to convert that into an order. So again, I drilled down into this quote through my opportunity. I could also find it within the sales quote menu. And then from here, I can go ahead and convert it to an order. So again, I still have the ability to kind of adjust these quantities if I wanted to. But in this case, I sent it out, it was approved. So now I'm going to go ahead and convert it into an order. So I can do so by clicking the more options at the top. And then down here, I have Convert to Order. So it's going to ask me what order type. It's kind of auto defaulting in to my sales order type. If there's multiple order types you have in your system, you can find that there and specify. I'm going to keep it at sales order. And then I'm going to go ahead and create and review. Once I do, we'll see it's automatically creating it as a sales order. It populated that information in. We'll see in this instance, I do have some upsell items, so maybe I want to pay attention to those, but this screen will look familiar. So this is just the order entry screen. Again, I didn't have to create the order manually from that opportunity or from that quote, but rather I created that opportunity, it flowed into that sales quote. Now it's converted into that sales order, and now it's ready for kind of order fulfillment. So here's my sales order. We can see in the description, it stemmed from that opportunity. So it's kind of linking back on that side. And then I could go ahead and create that shipment and kind of proceed with the order fulfillment side. So I'll kind of stop there for today in this video. But again, we do have another video walking more so through the rest of the sales order flow, as well as the invoice and payment. So I do invite you to take a look at those. But really, that's a high-level overview of how you would begin to create opportunities within CRM. I'll kind of wrap up here just by showing a couple of reporting capabilities as well. So if I go back into my opportunities list, typically this is where we'd want to see, what is my opportunities by stage? So this is where I'll highlight again that generic inquiry tool. So this exists throughout Acumatica, and really it's just a list view of data. And with each inquiry tool, you can use, all of the filtering capabilities at the top. So if I just wanted to say, I want to see all of my opportunities just in, a solution and development stage, for example, I could go ahead, select that, and then it's going to trim my records down. Maybe just want to see anything that's in a solution stage, what should we really drive forward? I could do that as well. And then I only want to see, in this case, anything that's still open. So if it was lost, we probably don't want to include that in my filtering in this example. So here I can see, okay, I have 12 opportunities that are in the solution stage. How can we begin to drive those forward? And then we also have the idea of the side panels here. So if I wanted to view those details, I could do so. If I wanted to see associated quotes with that opportunity, I could go ahead and look at those as well. Anything that was converted into a sales order could be visible through this side panel too. So kind of a lot of flexibility there in terms of some of the reporting. And then we also have some out-of-the-box dashboard views. So something like a salesperson view will take a look at just their opportunities in something like a sales funnel. So here I have just my salesperson dashboard, and I can see for me specifically, I have my opportunities within that prospect stage, many within the solution stage, and then I can drill down into those as well. So different kind of out-of-the-box dashboard views within Acumatica, those inquiry tools that we do encourage you to take advantage of those filtering capabilities to get to the data that you need, primarily on the opportunity side in this use case. But I hope that's helpful. I hope that provided some good background. Definitely reach out if you have any questions, but hopefully that was a good starting point. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you.